Hey, Internet friends, what an eventful start to 2025. We'll just go down the list here. So far, we've got mysterious SUV-sized drones across the U.S., specifically in New Jersey. This really occurred at the end of 2024 and moved into 2025. But 2024 drones were speculated to be UFO or alien in nature, but the understanding of these drones and their sightings has kind of shifted to being more private contract or military aligned rather than alien sensationalism.
The one closest. Yep, that's a drone. It's low. Now look at above it comes another drone. Holy crap. It's great. Go Bedminster. Go Bedminster.
It's China.
But the questions are still lingering as everyone's just becoming used to seeing these things hovering above their towns. After all, what are these drones looking for? What are they surveilling? Are we being told to look at the drones while something else is happening in the other direction? Now, President-elect Trump has said that he'll be releasing details on these drones his first day in office. And other Republican governors have reported seeing drones over nuclear reactors and infrastructure.
What happened to drones?
Well, you said that you thought the government knew what was happening with these drones over New Jersey. There were some by Bedminster.
I don't know. They're over Bedminster a lot, so I can imagine. I'm going to give you a report on drones about one day into the administration, because I think it's ridiculous that they're not telling you about what's going on with the drones.
On New Year's Eve, we had excessive social media coverage of a fog that blanketed much of the UK, Canada, and even parts of the US. With this fog, there were reports of sickness and residue covering everything it touched. Even Florida was reporting a strange midday fog. On the last night of 2024, lightning struck the Capitol, the Washington Monument, and the One World Trade Center. Maybe symbolic, maybe full of meaning, maybe void of meaning entirely, who knows? Then in the morning hours of New Year's, the New Orleans attack occurred with a man driving a pickup truck into a crowd on Bourbon Street. As a result, the governor of Louisiana declared a state of emergency, and aside from a clearly staged sort of set, like there was a news anchor lady going into the attacker's house the day after and finding a Quran open to, a convenient page of meant to emphasize intent with mood lighting and all of that around it, much like a set.
His Qurans, an open Quran with a passage there, as well as even the Bible here, but mostly books on Islam, and his prayer rug just to the left of me here.
Again, not a lot of info on this guy. Not a lot of info they released at all, and except for him being former military at a very specific military base. I just kind of wrote him off as being an activated sleeper cell in an effort to bring about Patriot Act 2.0. I guess it is kind of interesting. I haven't seen anybody else bring this up, but it is kind of interesting that Ford's Twitter account was hacked on New Year's Eve, referencing the Israel-Palestine war in the hacker's tweets. And then this guy plows through a crowd not some hours later in a rented electric Ford pickup truck. Sort of like this cyber truck I'm about to talk about, it calls into question, can these things be remotely steered and driven, hacked, if you will? I think we both know the answer. Speaking of former military, some hours later, there was a Tesla Cybertruck explosion outside of the Trump Hotel in Vegas. It was very, Trump-Elon coded, right? A message was being sent. The Las Vegas Cybertruck blast suspect, Matthew Livelsberger, took part in a military TV reality competition on the History Channel. In other words, he's an actor. Both incidents in Louisiana and Las Vegas involved trucks, a Ford pickup truck in New Orleans and the Tesla Cybertruck in Las Vegas. They were both rented from Turo. Both former military guys. There were some follow-up incidents thereafter, maybe 24 hours after, like in South Carolina, highway shut down due to a bomb threat involving an 18-wheeler on January 2nd. But then we kind of moved on to new flavors of terror. On January 4th, Biden awarded George Soros with a Presidential Medal of Freedom. His son, Alex Soros, received this award. The other recipients of this medal were Hillary Clinton, Bono, and Bill Nye the Science Guy. It was so absurd when I saw the footage that I thought it was an SNL bit, but you remember when Obama gave the Presidential Medal of Freedom to Bill Gates? Didn't he give one to Ellen DeGeneres, too? On Sunday, we had a day of rest, but then Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau, Baby Castro, announced that on January 6th that he would resign as Prime Minister and party leader once the Liberal Party of Canada organizes a leadership race.
Why are we supporting a country 200 billion plus a year? Our military is at their disposal. All of these other things, they should be a state.
Within the same day, President-elect Trump had made his call for the United States and Canada to become one country even stronger, making Canada the 51st state. Some people think Trump's idea that Canada should become the 51st state is just a joke, while others like me think he's dead serious. Pretty much within the same breath, Trump proposed that the Gulf of Mexico should be renamed the Gulf of America.
Assets, we're going to be changing the name of the Gulf of Mexico to the Gulf of America, which has a beautiful ring.
Then somehow the idea was put out about the USA annexing or buying Greenland, with this series of pictures from Donald Trump Jr. and Charlie Kirk and whatever other pundits. Of course, this would give the U.S. more control over the Arctic, and especially in World War III Russia scenario. Listen, I really want to give this its own video, but as you can tell, I'm barely hanging on to my voice right now. I have a little cold. It's nothing serious, but I already have a video ready to go on this topic, but it's waiting to be recorded. We have a couple of predictive programming angles on this acquisition. We have the 10 Kingdoms, the Club of Rome, the New World Order, North American Union, and we have Elon Musk's granddad in the North American Technate that was proposed by his party back in the 1930s. So I really want to do a deep dive into this and the untold aspects of globalism which aren't being discussed because all this is being cheered on by the right when these things weren't even campaign points. But I digress because in the background of all of this, we have headlines everywhere saying that Chinese hospitals are being overwhelmed with mysterious illnesses, that the norovirus has taken over the United States, and that pneumonia and flu cases are up. And now there's this ever-present threat of bird flu being trickled out through the media. It's cold and flu season. These things really shouldn't be headlines. But on January 8th, the first human victim of bird flu died in Louisiana, which is a super scary headline until you read that the victim was over 65 years old with pre-existing conditions. I'm watching this whole bird flu thing take shape because I keep seeing clearly dead internet bot accounts online saying, get rid of your backyard chickens and your bird baths and your bird feeders. Just fear-mongering, much like in the early days of COVID. So that's what I'm definitely watching. While all of this is going down, we have this impending once-in-20-year Arctic weather hitting the southeast, while the LA fires and arson disguised as natural catastrophe hit the west coast. Fire and ice, they love to do it. The effects of which have been so devastating and severe, and I also plan to give this its own video. On January 7th, these fires started and have destroyed tens of thousands of acres of land and are still raging. The fires, which were allegedly started by arson, there's all kinds of videos of people starting these fires, but the politicians are hyping it up as climate change. We still have to refer to these as wildfires. It doesn't make any sense. Anyway, they've killed 11 people, unfortunately, so far and turned nearly 10,000 homes and buildings into ash. About 180,000 people have been forced to leave their homes because of the danger. And these fires paired with this extreme wind and weather, like the Santa Ana winds and low humidity, have made the fires worse and it's made it harder to put it out. Plus, there's no water in the fire hydrants, just like in Maui.
Our neighbor's house is going up, and they caught our house on fire. So we're going up. There's no water. There's no fucking water. There's no fucking water.
Just like in Maui and just like in Asheville, LA is set to be a smart city in 2028.
Hi, my name is Ted Ross, Chief Information Officer at the City of Los Angeles. As you know, we live in a world full of urban challenges, from traffic congestion that takes our time and pollutes our environment, to natural disasters that threaten the safety of our communities. To address these challenges, Los Angeles looks to smart city technology that can positively transform our urban environment.
Apparently, insurance companies had canceled their coverage of these homes at the end of 2024, and as of right now, the potential property damage and economic losses could amount to as much as $150 billion. Remember that California is one of the most liberal states with the highest taxes in the country. And they've done all this pants on head, dumb stuff and limit everyone's water use for climate change. There's literally no amount of tax dollars you could allot to this state that would have made a single bit of difference. Not with these evil nerds in charge. But while California is burning, you already know that in Washington, D.C., they already approved $500 million to be sent to Ukraine. One thing that strikes me as particularly noteworthy, though, before my voice totally goes out, is the no expense spared treatment that the federal government has given these fire victims in California versus how Western North Carolina and Eastern Tennessee victims have been treated. Hurricane Helene victims were offered $750 by the government, to which many of them applied and were denied by FEMA. Meanwhile, called conspiracy theorists and are still living in temporary housing, RVs, and tents where their homes once stood, because their home insurance didn't cover flood. Meanwhile, Joe Biden announced that the federal government will pay for 100% of firefighting needs for the Los Angeles fires for the next 180 days. He said that he told the California governor and local officials to spare no expense to do what they need to put out these fires, which is great. Honestly, I want those people to have help. It's not like I don't want them to have help. That's not what I'm trying to say here. Americans should come first. Our government should prioritize Americans.
Madam Vice President, I know you're directly affected, so you fire away. No pun intended.
Indeed.
I just can't help but gawk at the difference between the treatment of Los Angeles and, let's say, Lahaina, or Los Angeles and Western North Carolina. But I know these fires are still raging. One dude has been arrested for starting them. It's all very suspect, all very script. The buildings that have actually caught fire, like the Getty, very suspicious. There's a network of underground tunnels under LA and all these rumors, but I'd like to commit an entire video to this topic, like the Resnick family, the pomegranate juice family who greedily controls LA's water, and more. So I just want to commit an entire video to that. And I just pray, I know I sound like a little bit callous when I say that I'm struck by how the federal government is treating California versus North Carolina, but I'm just saying that I pray for everyone affected by these tragedies that they just get out safe and with their families and their animals. And that's all I have for you today, internet friends. But look for another video from me very soon. Make sure you're subscribed. Let me know if I missed anything. This wasn't a comprehensive video by any means, but it is what I've been taking notes on as these once-in-a-lifetime events are happening every day in the age of acceleration. It used to be like nothing ever happened, and now something happens every day. Kind of hard to keep up, but let me know what you think. Thank you so much for watching, subscribing, supporting my channel on Patreon, and buying my book, The Deep State Encyclopedia. Bye. Hey, internet friends. Today is Monday, January 13th, 2025. At present, firefighters are scrambling to contain 3 active wildfires as the looming threat of the Santa Ana winds are set to tear through Los Angeles this week. So far, these California fires have burned through 40,000 acres, forcing 150,000 residents to leave their homes, claiming 24 lives so far. And everyone's pretty much asking the same thing. Are these fires and their inability to be contained, is it due to incompetence, systemic failure, criminal mismanagement, calculated or deliberate negligence that brought about these devastating fires? Or perhaps a deadly Mazel Tov cocktail of all the aforementioned? And most importantly, how do we stop these once-in-a-century events, which now happen several times a year in the age of acceleration? How do we stop this wrath and ruin from ravaging our own cities, our own towns, our own homes, and affecting our own families? Here's what the media won't tell you about the LA fires. As we talk about the recent fires in LA, it's important to address how California manages its resources and how other states should tread carefully as to not follow suit. The Resnick family, who own the Wonderful Company, has a great deal of power over the water supply in the state. The Wonderful Company has brands like Palm Wonderful, Fiji Water, Justin and Landmark Vineyards, Wonderful Pistachios, and Halo Clementines. So they own a bunch of farmland in the Central Valley through which they have obtained water rights from places like the State Water Project. So in other words, one family holds a large share of California's water. They have some of the oldest or most senior water rights in the state, which means that the Resnicks get water first, even during droughts. The Resnicks acquired the Kern Water Bank, one of California's largest water reserves, through a controversial privatization deal in 1994. Gaining control of this resource meant to serve the public. They've also put money into high-tech water delivery systems for their properties, which lets them siphon off water even in times of drought. The Resnicks get water from the state and then they sell it back to the state's citizens and everyone who's buying Fiji water at the 7-Eleven. And because the Resnicks are wealthy and powerful, the family has lobbied for water laws that protect their own interests. And they're able to control their image by buying influence at different publishers and media companies, which is why you're about to see all these newspapers and even why Fortune, of all publications, wrote an article this morning calling everyone who is discussing the billionaire Resnick family an anti-Semitic conspiracy theorist. Because the Resnick family is, of course, Jewish. And y'all know you can't talk about anything wealthy and influential Jewish people do because that means you're anti-Semitic. Even if your house burns down, you're supposed to keep your mouth shut. Fortune, the magazine about billionaires, published and funded by billionaires, writing articles to silence anyone who dares criticize anything about billionaires. Well, it's just so perfect, isn't it?
Let's take care of that. Pistachio, pistachio. Wait for it. Now, I know what you're thinking, and no, I am not being paid every time I mention the word pistachios tonight. And as for the rest of Linda's wonderful almonds, halo mandarins, and sweet scarlet grapefruits, so red and juicy you'd swear you were biting into the summer sun itself.
When we bought Fiji water, people weren't worried about traveling over the ocean and, wasting fuel and blah, blah, blah. Later, it became very important, and people used bottled water as the poster child for, the new green movement. Whatever. Whether you agree with that or you don't agree with that. But the fact that this water isn't available anywhere else on the planet was a good thing to fall back on. Because you can't find water this old that has been safe from the pollutants in the air and the ground like Fiji water.
But people were talking about the Resnick family and their dirty deeds long before this fire. For example, in an article from Mother Jones published in August of 2016, it discusses how Linda and Stuart Resnick have leveraged their agricultural empire in California during one of the state's worst droughts, touching on the public relations efforts by the Resnicks to portray themselves as stewards of the land amidst controversies over water usage and the sustainability of their agricultural practices. Now today, or this week more specifically, I imagine that the Resnick's public relations team is really earning their paycheck. Tell me, why does one couple get to own and control California's water? Do their practices embrace the intent and spirit of the Constitution? In an article from the Gray Zone published in 2018 and titled The Pistachio Wars, how the Resnick snack food fortune is fueling the assault on Iran. Well, in this article, it talks about how the billionaires have used their wealth and influence to bolster their pistachio business, while contributing to U.S. hostility towards Iran. The Resnicks have capitalized on the sanctions against Iran, because Iran is historically the world's leading pistachio exporter. With Iran's market access restricted by U.S. sanctions, the Resnicks have filled the gap, becoming major players in the American pistachio industry. So if you, an American, have to send your son or your daughter off to fight in wars in the Middle East, you can thank the Resnicks for that, as they have lobbied for this tension, caring only for their own profit. It's not like they're sending their sons and their daughters to go fight in these wars. That's something only the wages send their children to go do. You understand? That's how they view you. So they take this water from California that belongs to California citizens, and they withhold and sell it back to citizens for a profit. Then they take that profit and fund Israel and Israeli aggression in the Middle East, giving money to the Israeli military, the IDF, under the umbrella of their nonprofit organizations and foundations. And then they use their mouthpieces through the media to call themselves philanthropists and good people. To me, behaving this way, so selfishly, paying various publications to portray you as a steward of the land, while stoking flames both in California and the Middle East, is treasonous, and it's un-American. It's un-American, and it should not be allowed or tolerated. What do you think, internet friends?
We're going up. There's no water. There's no f***ing water. There's no f***ing water.
We're going to talk about how easy it is for the controllers to enact policies like DEI and hire Bozo the Clown in droves, knowing they'll do a terrible job, being totally incompetent to bring about certain desired outcomes. And we need to discuss how, while this might seem like incompetence when you watch these clips I'm about to show you, that there is someone who is not being shown in these clips who was purposeful about these hires and enacting these policies. After all, you and I both know that the thing this country needs more of is more lesbian firefighters.
Super inspired.
She took time out of her already busy schedule to tell us about her vision for the department's future, one that includes a 3-year strategic plan to increase diversity.
People ask me, well, what number are you looking for? So I'm not looking for a number. It's never enough.
Out of 3,300 city firefighters, only 115 are women right now. She's already looking at ways to change that.
So I want to reach down and bring you up. And that's kind of something that stuck with me to this day.
Part of that work means speaking up for those who can't. Over the last few years, LAFD has dealt with a fair share of controversy, and Larson not afraid to sound the alarm.
I chose to speak out pretty much by myself about the issues of sexism and racism within my department and the need for change. I don't think there's any question that our department is the best at fighting fires.
You want to see somebody that responds to your house, your emergency, whether it's a medical call or a fire call, that looks like you. It gives that person a little bit more ease, knowing that somebody might understand their situation better. Is she strong enough to do this? Or you couldn't carry my husband out of a fire, which my response is, he got himself in the wrong place if I have to carry him out of a fire.
How many apparatus do you currently have out of commission?
Right, so I can give you those numbers right here.
Perfect.
We have out of service apparatus, we have 40 engines, we have 36 rescue ambulances, and 10 of our trucks that are out of service. And you look at, well, how many actually do we have? It's close to 15 to 20% of our fleet that's out of service.
Okay.
John Knox, a hero on many levels, who saved children from burning homes and even helped during 9/11.
You know, you go from everyone thanking you one day for doing your job and coming and helping them in their time of need throughout this pandemic to where now all of a sudden you're a villain.
My job, I feel like I poured my heart into it. I promoted to the rank of engineer. So I got to drive the fire engine, got to do a lot of amazing things, help a lot of people in the city.
It's a difficult day for Matt Mamone. After nearly 15 years of serving with the LA Fire Department, he was terminated for refusing to take the COVID vaccine without applying for a religious or medical exemption.
Such times of uncertainty really forced me to think and examine my surroundings. The job that I love, the job that I poured my heart and soul into is being threatened. Anything that gets put into my body is my choice. I refuse. I do not comply.
With the community grand marshal, the first openly gay person to lead the LAFD and the first woman. How does it feel to be the community grand marshal?
It is an absolute honor. Look at this amazing community coming out, and I have the honor to represent the LAFD.
I want to also be clear that I have, over the last 3 years, been clear that the fire department needs help. We can no longer sustain where we are. We do not have enough firefighters.
It's a difficult day for Matt Mamone. After nearly 15 years of serving with the LA Fire Department, he was terminated for refusing to take the COVID vaccine without applying for a religious or medical exemption.
We're going up. There's no water. There's no f***ing water. There's no f***ing water.
We ran out of water in the first tank about 4:45 p.m. yesterday. We ran out of water in the second tank about 8:30 p.m. and the third tank about 3 a.m. this morning. Those tanks help with the pressure on the fire hydrants and the hills of Palisades. And because we were pushing so much water in our trunk line, and so much water was being used before it can get to the tanks, we were not able to fill the tanks fast enough. So the consumption of water was faster than we can provide water in our trunk line.
Put out a letter to DWP asking, how is it
that there was no water to fight this fire in certain places. We were here, and basically these places just burned and there was nothing that could be done.
And would it have mattered? I mean, let's be honest about it here. I've talked to all my experts, all the firefighters I've been with. They said we could add an engine on every house in 90-mile-an-hour winds with all the pressure in the world. So you got to be realistic about that as well.
The 117 million gallon reservoir was found empty during the wildfire due to ongoing maintenance. The reservoir had been closed since February of 2024 for repairs to its cover, but the maintenance work wasn't completed in time. As a result of this incompetence on every level, which I believe is purposeful. And then we had these water supply issues. Fire hydrants ran dry in higher elevation areas, severely impacting firefighting efforts. This was in part because the reservoir wasn't even working. It was empty, which led to low water pressure and no supply to the hydrants. Then we have Governor Gavin Newsom, who is an idiot, who has all of these California management climate change water resource policies that he's enacted. And this is how he's behaving.
I was just talking to Josh Green, the governor of down in Hawaii, who had some ideas around some land use concerns he has, around speculators coming in, buying up properties, and the like. So we're already working with our legal teams to move those things forward, and we'll be.
Hi, my name is Ted Ross, Chief Information Officer at the City of Los Angeles. As you know, we live in a world full of urban challenges. From traffic congestion that takes our time and pollutes our environment, to natural disasters that threaten the safety of our communities. To address these challenges, Los Angeles looks to smart city technology that can positively transform our urban environment.
And that, Internet friends, is probably part one of what the media won't tell you about the LA fires. What do you think, Internet friends? You know I always look forward to your comments. Please subscribe so you get notified for my videos, which everybody's always commenting. They don't get notified. I don't show up in their subscription feed. Anyway, I pray for all of you. I pray for everyone affected by the fire. I'm still thinking about Lahaina. I'm thinking about Western North Carolina, Eastern Tennessee, parts of Virginia that were affected by Hurricane Helene, and how these once-in-a-lifetime sort of events keep happening. It's the age of acceleration. So anyway, please subscribe and I'll catch you in my next video. Bye.